sun rose over the golden sands of Egypt, painting the sky in hues of red and gold. The Nile shimmered like a serpent of light, winding its eternal path through the fertile valley. Villages stirred with life as farmers prepared to till the land, their chants rising like prayers to Ra. In one such village, nestled between palm groves and sandstone cliffs, lived two brothers, Khamose and Nebamon. They were sons of a once honored scribe, and though they shared the same blood, their hearts beat to different rhythms. Khamose, the elder, was steady as the Nile itself. He valued truth, hard work, and the legacy of their father, who had served the Pharaoh with wisdom. Nebamon, the younger, was as restless as the desert wind. He longed for riches, power, and the recognition he believed fate had denied him. For many years, they worked side by side in their small field, offering part of their harvest to the temple of Osiris and caring for their widowed mother. But envy, like a scorpion, crept into Nebamon's heart. One evening, as the brothers sat beneath a fig tree, Nebamon spoke. "Khamose," he began, his voice low, "why should we labor like peasants when Pharaoh's storehouses overflow? Our father's wisdom gave Pharaoh glory, yet what is our reward? Dust in the fields." Khamose looked at him calmly. "Our reward is in the blessing of the Nile, the smile of our mother, and the peace of the gods. Greed blinds the soul, brother. Do not let it consume you." But Nebamon's eyes glimmered with a hunger Khamose could not extinguish. That very night, Nebamon crept into the temple where the priests kept the sacred ledgers of grain. With cunning hands, he altered the records, making it appear that Khamose had withheld offerings to Osiris. When the priests discovered the false entries, they summoned Khamose and stripped him of his honor, branding him a blasphemer. The villagers turned their backs on Khamose, spitting as he passed. Their mother wept, but Nebamon pretended to mourn as well. Inside, however, he rejoiced. For the priests, deceived by his lies, appointed Nebamon as overseer of the granaries. Wealth poured into his hands, and power lifted him above the people. Khamose wandered into the desert. For days he stumbled across dunes, his lips cracked, his body weak. But in his suffering, his spirit grew strong. One night, beneath the gaze of 1,000 stars, Khamose fell to his knees and prayed, "O great Osiris, judge of truth, if I have lived falsely, let my soul be weighed against the feather and perish. But if I have lived in truth, guide me back to justice." As he spoke, a jackal appeared on the ridge, its eyes gleaming like emeralds. It was a sign of Anubis, guardian of the dead and protector of the lost. The jackal led Khamose to an oasis where water bubbled pure and sweet. There he rested, nourished by dates and the whisper of the palms. In that solitude, Khamose learned to listen, to the silence, to his own heart, and to the voice of Ma'at, goddess of truth. His bitterness faded, replaced by a deep resolve. He would not seek vengeance, but justice. Meanwhile, Nebamon rose in Pharaoh's court. He dressed in linen finer than the wings of a butterfly, and gold chains hung heavy on his chest. Servants bowed and flatterers sang his name. But his heart, once restless, now became a pit of shadows. The more he gained, the more he feared losing it. He tightened his grip on the granaries, starving villages to hoard wealth. He silenced any who questioned him, whispering lies until their reputations crumbled. Yet at night, when the torches dimmed and silence filled the halls, he dreamed of Khamose. He saw his brother's calm eyes staring at him, not in anger, but in sorrow. Nebamon would wake and sweat, feeling the weight of guilt pressing like a stone upon his chest. One season, the Nile failed to flood. Crops withered, and famine stalked the land. The priests wailed that Osiris was displeased, and Pharaoh demanded answers. Nebamon, desperate, ordered higher taxes, taking what little grain the peasants had left. The people cried out in hunger, but he hardened his heart. In that dark hour, Khamose returned. Clothed in simple linen, his skin weathered by sun and sand, he walked into the village like a man reborn. The people, gaunt with hunger, whispered his name. Some fell to their knees, for they remembered his kindness. Khamose went to the temple, knelt before the priests, and revealed Nebamon's old deceit. At first, they doubted, but then Khamose produced the copy of the sacred ledger he had carried since exile, preserved like a treasure. It showed the truth. Pharaoh summoned both brothers to his court. In the great hall, where lotus pillars rose like trees of stone, the two brothers faced one another. Nebamon stood in gilded robes, his face pale beneath his pride. Khamose bowed humbly, his eyes clear. Pharaoh, seated upon the throne of Horus, spoke with a voice like thunder. Two sons of Egypt stand before me, one accused of deceit, the other of blasphemy. Let truth be revealed. The priests examined the records. Witnesses stepped forward. Peasants who had starved, guards who had been silenced, scribes who had seen Nebamon's hand alter the scrolls. The weight of evidence crushed Nebamon's lies like dry papyrus. At last, Pharaoh turned to Khamose. "You were wronged, son of Egypt. What punishment do you demand for the brother who betrayed you?" The hall grew silent. Nebamon trembled, expecting wrath. But Khamose lifted his head, his voice calm as the Nile at dawn. "Great Pharaoh, I demand no punishment. Let my brother taste the fruits of his choices, for the gods are just. But let Egypt not suffer for our strife. Restore balance to the people, and let truth guide us all." Pharaoh's eyes narrowed, but he saw the light of Ma'at in Khamose's words. He stripped Nebamon of his titles, sending him to labor in the fields among those he had oppressed. Khamose, humbled and purified, was appointed overseer of the granaries, the redemption. Nebamon raged against his fate, cursing the gods and spitting upon the soil. But toil under the burning sun wore down his pride. He felt hunger gnaw at his belly, sweat sting his eyes, and the ache of labor bend his back. Slowly, he began to understand the suffering he had once inflicted on others. One evening, as the harvest moon rose, Khamose came to the fields. He found Nebamon kneeling in the dirt, his hands raw, his spirit broken. For a long moment, they stared at one another. Two brothers, one scarred by betrayal, the other by guilt. Then Khamose reached out his hand. "Brother," he said softly, "the Nile washes all things clean. Let us not be divided forever." Tears filled Nebamon's eyes. He clasped Khamose's hand, and for the first time in many years, his heart felt light. From that day forward, Khamose ruled with wisdom, ensuring that no family went hungry. Nebamon remained a laborer, but he worked with humility, serving the people he once exploited. Though scars remained, the brothers found peace, not in wealth, not in power, but in truth and forgiveness. And so the story spread across Egypt, of two brothers, one consumed by envy, the other tested by betrayal, who both found redemption through the eternal law of Ma'at. For just as the Nile floods and recedes, bringing both destruction and renewal, so too does life wash away falsehood and restore truth. Moral betrayal cuts deep, but truth endures like the Nile. Power built on lies withers, but the heart that clings to justice finds renewal. Forgiveness, not vengeance, is the path that restores balance.